Happy Wednesday. We are back for the last session. It is, did I say happy Thursday? I'm pretty sure I said happy Wednesday because I do know that today's Wednesday and tomorrow's Thursday. And it's my favorite holiday, Thanksgiving. Not because of the food, which I do enjoy, but because you get to be around people. It's a moment of gratitude, all those amazing things. But today's Wednesday. I'm excited to be here. I hope you guys have been doing great this week. It's hump day, and we are on our final week for AI as a growth tool. And so I'm excited to be here. We're going to just jump right in on all the things, all the ways. Let's do a little quick recap. So this week is about strategic thinking and accountability. But before we jump into those things, let's talk about what we've covered the first 3 weeks. Week 1, we covered personal development and evolution, right? And as we think about personal development and evolution, it speaks to the ability that growth begins with the vision, right? And then this week we explore how your mindset could help you become more resilient, more confident, more creative, all those beautiful things. Week 2, we covered communication mastery, right? And that was because we have a vision. A vision is only as powerful as your ability to articulate the vision, right? You see? So you got to have a vision. But guess what? The vision is only powerful when you can actively communicate it. And then week 3, which was last week, we spoke about EQ, also known as emotional intelligence, and self-reflection. And to pursue your vision, you must first understand who you are, what you want, how you want to show up, what you desire, who you want to become, right? And so I'm excited because this week we get to tie all of those things together as one and say a vision without action is wasted potential. So let me just recap that. Week 1, personal development and evolution. Growth begins with the vision. Week 2, communication mastery. A vision is only as powerful as your ability to articulate it. Week 3, EQ and self-reflection. To pursue your vision, you must first understand yourself. And then today, strategic thinking and accountability. And a vision without action is wasted potential. So this week, as we think about the vision and what it looks like to be strategic and holding yourself accountable, I wanted to go into why it all makes sense, right? How it all comes together. Again, for those who may have been watching a replay or may be tuning in now, this was a 4-week workshop to show how I have leveraged AI to help me become a better individual all around. But the workshop was called AI as a growth tool. And the point of it was to help the viewers, help us as a community become more comfortable with leveraging AI and understand the benefits of using AI in our day-to-day life so that we can become our best self and not miss the AI train. You guys always know that that's what type of time I'm on. I don't want us to miss the AI train because we know too much. We lead the path and everything else, and we cannot miss this train because, as you all know, I've said it week over week, AI is going to be as big as the internet. So there you have it. We're jumping right in. Your vision can become a reality when you pair simple things together like discipline and the ability to follow through, right? But what is strategic thinking? I would define strategic thinking as the ability to begin with the end in mind. If you understand where you're trying to go, the far out version of where you're trying to go, you can see all the way there. And guess what you get to do? You get to work backwards. You create a path to work backwards. So strategic thinking is the ability to begin with the end in mind and create a plan, a path, a roadmap, whatever you like to call it, to work backwards so that you can get your desired outcome, one, but also so that you can potentially think through what could potentially happen and prepare yourself so that you can be successful. And then as it relates to accountability, for me, accountability is understanding how, when, why things happen the way that they did, and your ability to not just understand why it went wrong or right, but your ability to hold yourself responsible for how it went wrong or right, right? So that's what we're going to jump into. Let's keep the train going. So, every week we learned 5 say skills around each topic. And so these 5 today that we're going to talk about, I'm going to list them first and then we'll go back and go through them. I was able to learn as I became more of a strategic thinker and held myself accountable. Before I jump into that, one of the ways I became more accountable, I remember reading a book called The Compound Effect. I do not remember the name of the author, sorry, but it was a really amazing book, The Compound Effect. And he pretty much said, the moment that you begin to hold yourself accountable, 100% accountable for everything that is happening to you around you, is the moment that you really understand that you can take control of your life. And so I just want to allow that to sit there for a moment. When we become 100% responsible for everything that happens in our life, we can then step into the role of taking the wheel to control how our life is. And you can only do that when you can actually see how this happened or how that happened. And you can begin to become a strategic thinker around those things. And so that's why these 2 topics go hand in hand. So the 5 say models, let's jump into that. The first one is heightened strategic thinking. The second one is bridging the gaps of knowledge. The third one is fostering courage to experiment or take risk. 4th is improving your focus and clarity. And then 5 is providing accountability, right? You become more accountable. And so let's go one by one. Heightened sense of strategic thinking. I believe that, so let's see, a real world scenario. Okay. If you wanted to go shopping, Christmas shopping, let's say Christmas shopping, you're going Christmas shopping, but you also hosting your in-laws and you also want to hide the gifts, right? When you think about how to navigate your Christmas, you literally say, okay, well, if the family's coming in on Friday, Christmas is Sunday, you get to thinking, okay, so I need to have the gifts here by at the latest Tuesday because Wednesday I'm off. And I can potentially wrap the gifts on Wednesday. And then I can go do the grocery shopping Thursday morning before everybody comes, have the presents under the tree, You see how you have to like strategically think through how to pull this off seamlessly so that you're not stressed out, so that you don't drop the ball. And because we are people who operate from a spirit of excellence, just being okay is not good enough. We just being okay doesn't work for people like us. So we really want to do things with a spirit of excellence. So we will literally map that thing out. And then as the plan continues to evolve, we will then say, wait, it might be smarter for you to have the gifts delivered to the house, and then you can have the groceries delivered to the house as well. You can put the food in the oven while you're wrapping the gifts, right? Like, then you start thinking of how you can be more strategic to buy back your time, to buy back your energy, to get some rest, to take a nap, right? Like, so heightened strategic thinking can show up in any walk of your life. But when I started using AI, it helped me because I would come up with these like grand plans and like, oh my God, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? And so ChatGPT will say, oh yes, you can do it this way, la 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 la. And then we will talk about the idea on a high level. But then I would ask, next step would be like, okay, so what's the step-by-step plan? Or I would test myself before I let ChatGPT tell me. As I started building my confidence, I would say, okay, so this is what I'm thinking about needs to be done. Am I missing anything? And it will say, you're almost there. So nice. You're almost there, but don't forget A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And so it will list out the plan in all 20 steps, and then it'll bullet point each step. And because I got comfortable with seeing those things broken down, I then started training my mind to think about every single step it takes. When you're booking a trip, you don't just say, oh, it would be so nice if we go to Africa, and then you just buy a flight. No, you say which part of Africa, where we're going to stay. How long does it take to get from the airport to the hotel? How many days are we going to stay at the hotel? How much is that round trip ticket, right? Like, you begin to be more strategic because you begin with the end in mind. The end is you want to be in Africa, but you got to work backwards from that, right? Like, what type of weather is in Africa? Because you need to pack your bags properly. Do you need allergy medicine? What do you need from an international standpoint? All these things begin to sit in your mind, and you now suddenly have a heightened sense of strategic thinking. So that's how that skill naturally became clearer to me, and I was able to see, oh. And then I would test my knowledge, right? With ChatGPT, I will list it like, okay, this is a great idea. This is everything that we have to do. And it would say, yes, it seems like you got your plan on point. It seems like you got it all tracked out. And I'm just like, yes, your girl's winning. So, bridging the gaps. I mentioned this a little bit, but AI has helped me bridge the gap because in my testing of trying to understand, am I missing a step, or do I know what I think I know, right? Like, did I properly type in the information in every step that I believe is going to take for me to get my desired outcome? What it does is it bridges the gap because it says, Samela, you're almost there, but don't forget about A, B, C, D. And then it allows me to not miss a beat, right? So I'm not shy about what I ask ChatGPT. It does not matter, personal, business, professional, mental, emotional, whatever it is, I ask it because I have a spirit of wanting to be great. And so even if I had an interaction and I felt validated by how I showed up, I would politely ask ChatGPT, hey, this is what happened between me and my friend, and my friend felt offended by this, but I don't know why, right? Like, I would literally go into details, and I would talk it, if it's a lot, I would talk it into ChatGPT. And how it bridges the gap of knowledge is, well, Samela, you did answer that in this way, but your friend could be feeling this way considering X, Y, and Z. And so it has allowed me to see perspectives that I potentially could have missed because I wasn't thinking about it, my emotions was in it, whatever it is, but it has bridged the gaps in my thinking, in my knowledge, and the more I allow it to bridge the gap, the more I'm training my mind to see the areas that I think ChatGPT is going to tell me, right? Like, I don't just get comfortable with like, you don't have to think about it, ChatGPT is going to tell you. No, because it's still, at the end of the day, it's still very much a robot, just to be clear. Not like a walking robot. But it's still very much built in computing something, right? So you definitely need to put your own emotions. You know how your friend is. You know how far you and your friend go back. So you definitely need to show up with your human self, but allow it to bridge those areas that you potentially missed. So hopefully this is processing and I'm not going too fast. The third skill that I have learned is to foster courage to experiment. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm a bit of a risk taker, and I generally take more risk because it's just me. I don't have kids. I don't have a husband. I do have a boyfriend now. But, and so I would take bigger risk, but risks taking requires a level of courage, one, and it requires a level of heightened strategic thinking, because I can literally decide if I'm going to take a risk, of course, depending on the matter, by immediately understanding the pros and the cons. But I would start with, what do I want to see happen, right? So let's make up an example. The risk of, do I want to move to New York? Thinking about moving to New York, okay, you don't know anybody. You might, but you can make friends. But you got to go outside, right? Like, I think about all these things that's required of me. And then I say, well, I mean, if you want to first start and if you want to do something new, that could absolutely work for you. It looks like all the pros are more aligned. And the best way to understand if a risk is worth it is if the return on investment, right? So whatever you're putting in, if the outcome of what you're putting in is greater than what you have to put in. So to be an entrepreneur, it takes a lot of time, energy, effort, money, right? But the outcome of being a successful entrepreneur gives you freedom, flexibility, changes your family legacy. You can hit the jackpot. You could do what you love to do and have your own schedule, right? And so that risk and that like initial sacrifice and that initial investment is worth it, because what you're going to get on the other side is greater. Not to mention the risk in what you're putting in would generally be required of you with any job, because you got to be on a schedule. You have to do this. You have to come in when they say to come in, right? Like, so you would have to potentially take some of those steps anyway for any line of work. But this one just so happened to give you the flexibility that you may desire, the ability to travel more, to live your best life, to do what you love most with the people that you love the most. So when you begin to becoming more courageous about experimenting, which is another word for taking risk, you definitely need to weigh your options. You definitely need to understand what you're up against. And you definitely need to make sure to use ChatGPT to see what could I potentially be missing. Somebody told me that they do the prompt of, I went to a conference and a lady said she was about to start a new business or something. And then she typed in, if you were my competitor, what would you do to stop me or to get ahead of me? Right? And so what she was doing, she wasn't only thinking strategically, she was putting herself in a position to win because she's trying to think like her enemy or her competitor or her rival would be thinking, so that she can know how they're going to attack her. She can know what she's going to be up against. You see? And so now when she goes to start this new business, it won't blindside her that the enemy, the competitor did this thing, because she allowed ChatGPT to bridge the gap on what someone could potentially do to find a weak spot in her thought process. You see? Hopefully that makes sense. And once you begin to become more courageous to take these risks, you naturally start improving your focus and your clarity, because you thought about what could potentially happen and what do you want to happen. You processed the gaps that you may miss, right? You understood the risk that it would take, the cost that it would take, how much time, energy, and effort is required. And now, once you have that roadmap, you only focus on what matters. You only begin to focus on what matters, because everything else is not going to move the needle. Why would you focus on cold calling your customers when you know that they're not even going to pick up? Or let me give a better example, like the Christmas example. Now that you know that only thing you have to do is cook and wrap the presents, you focusing on cleaning out your closet is not going to help you out unless you're trying to hide the gifts, right? You then become so intentional about where you put your energy because you understand what you're trying to accomplish. I hope this is making sense. I hope you guys can see how the loops are coming together, right? And how naturally, I'm sorry, I think I'm going to sneeze. How naturally you become better because you are letting your mind morph into something that you didn't even know that you can do. Like, you begin to surprise yourself because, of course, you started asking ChatGPT, what are you missing? But once you start training your mind, you say, what will ChatGPT tell me that I'm missing? Before you even talk to ChatGPT, you make the plan even tighter. You make it even more strategic. Now you're focusing on what matters. And when you focus on what matters, you have natural clarity because you're not trying to do 75 things. You're not trying to do everything at once because you understand what will really move the needle and what actions are required. I'm so sorry, my allergies are just doing whatever they want. So now that you got the clarity and you know what to look at, you then can hold yourself accountable. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Because you understood strategically what you're doing, then you begin to understand what area you could potentially be missing out on by bridging the gap. And then you understand, what does pulling this off look like? You start experimenting with the risk and like understanding the courage of taking the risk. What could this look like? You say, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do it. Based on what it could look like, it looks like I'll win more than I'll lose. I'm going to do it. And then now that you're going to do it, you start moving in that direction with focus and clarity. You are making things happen. You're being intentional about where you put your time. You're now getting off of work, going straight home to wrap those gifts versus letting your friend call you and say you want to come to happy hour, because you know if you go to happy hour, them gifts ain't going to wrap themselves. Them in-laws are still coming in. The packages are at the door, right? Like you begin to think about what matters, and the accountability part naturally shows up because you understand if you make the wrong decision, it will set you back from your original plan. I think it's so beautiful how it comes together week after week, honestly, because I lived it. And you know, generally when you are living something, you don't see it as clear and like as it was happening. But when I talk to you guys about these skills and how I've naturally became a better Samela, I am very impressed with how the compound effect, taking small steps, can make a huge impact. And again, I've been using ChatGPT for probably a year plus now. And so I have seen my mind morph into something brilliant. I literally say I have a brilliant mind now with confidence, because I do see my brilliance show up in ways, and I see opportunity in ways, but it's only because clearly I won't be long because these allergies are trying to take me down. Whew. So sorry about that. Wow. So, when you're accountable, you move different. You're not easily distracted. I am so sorry, guys. You're not easily distracted. And you hold yourself responsible to say, well, if that falls through the cracks, I know why. Because I didn't do what I said I was going to do because I was busy going to happy hour with my work friends. So, I'm going to wrap it all in a bow. The 5 tools that we covered today: heightened strategic thinking, bridging the gaps of knowledge, experimentation, focus and clarity, and accountability. Together, they all help you think bigger, act bolder, and stay on track with your own personal goals. And as we approach the end of 2024, this is the perfect time to check in on, are you thinking clearly? Do you understand the direction that you're going in? Are you and your partner moving in the same direction? Do you need to refine the direction that you're going in? Does it still make sense? How much is it going to cost you next year? How much is this risk going to cost you next year, right? You begin to think about these things, and naturally, you show up better. And I want you all to think about how to set yourself up for success. 2025 is around the corner. We have full, total accountability for everything that happens to us. And what we do not want to do is be in the same exact position this time next year that we are in today. It's okay that you did not know. It's okay that you were not informed. It's okay that you made the mistake, that you tripped, that you did these things, but it is not okay. And I don't want you to allow anybody to make you think that it's okay. It's not okay that you have the information and you do not take the action. Because remember, again, growth begins with a vision. A vision is only as powerful as your ability to articulate it. And to pursue your vision, you must know yourself first. And a vision without action is wasted potential. And I don't want you to waste your potential. I don't want to waste my potential. I don't want to waste the potential knowing that we have tools like AI at our fingertips and we're not using it. This is anybody's game to be played right now, today. And we're only at the beginning, so this is the perfect time to learn. Walking around saying, I don't know AI, it's scary, it's intimidating, is not acceptable, because it's going to get scarier and more intimidating the further you push yourself away, the further you let fear come in between you and your learning abilities. You need to stop that thing right there, get over the fear, address the fear, and just start. Start building the business, start going after your goals, start taking the risk. Start believing in yourself. Start investing in yourself. Start doing the thing that you know you want to wake up to and go to sleep to. Start. Just start somewhere. Baby steps are still very much steps. And you got to do it because nobody else is accountable for your future. And if you want to say it biblically, when it's time for you to give your account to God, you can't say, well, my sister did this and my dog ate my homework and I was going to do it, but then this. No, you're going to have to give your own personal account as to what you did with the time that you had. No excuses. We all want to be great. And I know that we're going to be great. That's why these workshops are important. I believe I'm going to come back next week with systemizing businesses, but I will validate that at the top. Maybe during the weekend, I'll let you guys know. I hope this 4-week workshop has been helpful. It has taught me so much about who I am and who I want to be. And I'm hoping that you all learn something from it. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. Such a beautiful day to be with your family, your loved ones, yourself. When I lived in Miami for many years, my friends would invite me over. But I just enjoyed being by myself. I would cook me a whole Thanksgiving meal. I would be dancing around the house, sipping on something, listening to my music, watching a movie, taking a midday nap, literally doing whatever it is I wanted to do. And I actually enjoyed it. So, do what makes you happy. Do what you love because you deserve it. Have a beautiful day. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And happy Thanksgiving.